I'm glad you're coming around. How you doing?
Anxiety attacks, no sleep, depression. Hitting all the cliches. Sometimes it just feels like
You're getting lost up there.
It's okay. Everything's gonna be okay.
Miss Andrews, are you okay?
definitely not.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Bomb Squad. If you just saw that preview that came on right before this start of this podcast, you'll know that we're heavy in empty space mode, which comes out next Tuesday on VOD, on Blu-ray. Go to Walmart, pick it up while you're getting some eggs. And then also anywhere that you can find VOD. Google Movies, Vudu, Amazon. Jeff Bezos is like, hey, I need more money. Go give it to him. So check it out. That comes out next Tuesday. And today we have a very special guest. We have the star of the Empty Space herself. I'm sorry, I'm laughing to myself because I just realized I'm gonna mispronounce her name. So welcome to the Bomb Squad, Valerie Alene.
Perfect.
Ah,
Thank you.
nice.
Thank you
It
for
took it
having
took me
me.
so long. Yeah.
That was not perfect. People don't go Allie to you in
Well, you know
public.
what? Yeah, it just happens. How are you doing, Val? What's going on?
I'm doing all right. I mean, I'm excited today because I saw the trailer. I mean, I saw kind of it, bits of it before, but it's exciting to see it released and everything. So that's cool. But
Yeah,
I'm busy in life, but it's good.
yeah. On your end, guys, the movie comes out next week. On our end, we just saw the trailer. It just got released, which hopefully you've seen already. Of course, you've seen it. It's at the beginning of this podcast. But anyway, so check that out. It just got released here. It's very exciting. This is your first feature film. Is this the first? This isn't the first time you've acted at all, right?
No, I was in another independent film in college. I just had a really small part, and it never got through all the way through production and released. So this is the first one that is actually people are going to get to see it, and that's exciting.
Nice. Yeah. How does it feel to be on the edge of the first major release?
Well, I've used exciting too many times. So I'm nervous and I'm excited, and it's, I'm trying to like, it feels like it's finally happening. Like it's fulfilling that people in my life have heard about it and I've talked about it, and everyone's like, well, how do I see it? When can I see it? And people saw it during festivals, some, but now it's really going to be out there. So it's exciting that, um, people I know that didn't know me when I made the movie can see it.
Yeah, I mean it is that crazy. We shot it, I don't even know, but it was a while ago. It was before a pandemic hit, and so we've been
Mm-hmm.
waiting. And like I think that's something we've brought up every time, but like, yeah, we've been sitting on this thing for a long time. And it's not like, sitting on this thing where we it didn't get into any festivals or anything. It's like it got into festivals, it was winning awards. It just couldn't come out because of the pandemic. And we kind of like we didn't want to limit its festival run just because we didn't like. I mean, I had a complete faith in this movie. I think it's the best one, and so I wanted to make sure it got into stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
when the pandemic hit, it was just super hard. And so we got into festivals. We won the Sacramento Horror Film Festival, Best of the
Yep.
Fest, and we won a bunch of other ones. But I like that one was the big one to me because that was like the first festival that I ever wanted to get into when I started looking up festivals. That was super awesome. And so yeah, it's been quite a while since we made it and since we finished it and since just it's just very exciting. Valerie, what was your because we almost filmed this at the perfect time because you were graduating college and you're graduating nursing school and you're about to start looking for a real job.
I was graduating with my master's, yeah.
Right.
And then I passed boards and did this movie. And so I was kind of interviewing and looking for jobs. And then I was like, I'm going to go do this movie actually. And I'll
Yeah.
have to explain a big gap in my resume, but that's fine. And
Yeah.
it's actually been fun though, because when people are like, well, in between school, and your first NP job, there was some time. What were you doing? And being able to say, well, I was in a movie, and people are always interested in asking about it. And it's something that I wish I had opportunities to do more of. So it's cool. And
Right.
it was totally worth it.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's always the fun. Well, it's the weird part of being an independent filmmaker is that we sometimes have to have day jobs, and like I remember when Valerie was trying to get an actual job, I got a phone call and they're like, did Valerie work for you?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I don't know how much help I'm gonna be unless you want to know like how good she is at faking crying." you know?
Well, no, hospitals want to know every day of your life that is unaccounted for in a hospital setting. They're like,
Right.
you had 1 month off in this time. What were you doing? It's like, I went on vacation. I don't know.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so I'm trying to like because we were able to we really um practiced the movie. We did rehearsals. Like we did rehearsals one on one, like over Zoom.
Hmm.
And it was just kind of like what when you're kind of approaching this character of Amy Andrews, The Empty Space is about a woman named Amy Andrews who's dealing with some anxiety and stuff starts to happen. We won't spoil it because it comes out next week. But how did you approach this character?
So from the beginning, you assigned me a lot of different movies to watch, a big list. I think I made it all the way through, if not all, most of them.
Yeah, I don't remember you missing any.
And so it was like Alien, and what was the one about the AI, like robot?
AI by Steven Spielberg.
I don't think it was. Oh, it was Ex
No.
Machina.
Ex Machina. Yeah, it was. No, isn't that with Haley Joel Osment? AI.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we have
We
to get
actually
that
we
one.
actually did it on the podcast. Link
Oh, really?
below.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay,
pointing and then
check
you
it
have to put the
out.
link there. He's not
Yeah,
going
you're gonna point there, and it's gonna be a link to the empty space. That's the only link below we're doing.
to.
Ex Machina. We could have done that one too. And so you sent me different movies with females in kind of sci-fi roles, and so it wasn't, you would be like, it's not exactly what I'm going for, but like pay attention to certain scenes, and this is just kind of the vibe sometimes that and so then we would rehearse, and like over Google Hangouts, you'd have me read some, and then I just practice lines with my friends and memorized it, and then flew down to Texas, and we shot it in what, 3 weeks?
Yeah, it was about 3 weeks, which is long for an independent film. And I think one of the cool things was like the character of Amy it's a super hard role. Like you have to be able to do so much and have like we wanted to portray mental illness and anxiety and everything is as real as possible despite what else is happening in the movie. And so because of that there was no one note that Amy could hit. She had to hit like every single emotion and she had to go through so much. And so it wasn't an easy role, especially wasn't an easy role for someone who is it's their first leading role. So yeah, I'm endlessly impressed by Valerie's not only just commitment because that's a lot of it's a big commitment to be like, yeah, I'll make a 3 weeks of my time to film something that who knows what's going to happen to it, but also just it wasn't like Joe, Rachel, um, Valerie, like none of the roles are easy in this movie because we really wanted to like tackle something a little bit more um, not serious, but a little bit more. We wanted people to relate to it who had anxiety as opposed to like being like, this is not real. And so there's a lot of tough roles in this. Everyone did a great job. I actually got a comment on the trailer today who said the lead actress seems great. So that's
Oh,
good.
that's
So we're already off to the races.
confidence
Yeah.
boost. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I remember, I mean, I took it very seriously. Because again, I'm coming out of a master's degree. When I go into something, I'm all in, and so I really wanted to do my best, especially because it was my first real role, and so I didn't want to like half do it or not be invested, and so I remember working really hard and giving it my best all the time.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing is always you're able to. There's a scene in the middle that it came off exactly how I wanted it in my head. There's a scene at the end that also is like, oh, this is just what I wrote, and so that's always very cool to see like your actual words, because so much in filmmaking is making the sacrifices, and you work with the actors, and sometimes they change their names to a name that they don't like later on. You'll find out who that was in a later podcast,
Wait, what?
because Pablo was originally named Brad in the script,
Oh
and
yeah.
then
And he made you change it to
he made me
Jamie.
change it to Jamie. And then when we interviewed him, he was like, "The only thing I didn't like about the character was the name. I don't know who named him Jamie." And I was like, "You did. You made me change
Oh
the
my
name."
god.
Yeah.
And so, like, and like those kind of things are fun changes, but like there is always compromise on set. So it's always good when you and the lead actor or actress are on such like a good wavelength that you're kind of that you're able to hone in and really get the character that you've created. Because like with Amy, I mean, I had been with her since I left LA, so originally the idea of the person, and then when you actually see the character, it's a great mix of what Valerie brought, what I brought, and I think it really works. It really anchors the film, so to speak, and especially this film, because there's no spoilers in saying that it gets pretty fucking weird. And so when you see it, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, you really need someone to hold the film down. Valerie, what are you looking forward to most in when the movie comes out?
Well, one thing is people getting to see it. It's like that have been wanting to see it for so long. So I mean, I'm excited to hear what they think, and I'm excited to. I've used that word too much. Can you give me like a synonym? I'm
No, I'm not a big fan.
Exuberant.
anticipating.
I don't
Exuberant.
Yeah,
know.
exuberant.
Um, there are a few scenes. I mean, I'm proud of the whole thing, but there are a few where I was like, that was pretty good. Kind of like you're saying, like how one scene in the middle, whichever one it is like, wow, that was like perfect. There are
Yeah.
a few that I'm excited to see and see what other people think of them too.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think it's gonna be good. I'm very excited. Hopefully, when we come back a little bit later after the movie's been released, we're doing some other episodes, so maybe we'll get a little bit more into spoilers. So you have to watch it as soon as possible, and
Yeah.
rent it twice if you want. Rent it every day of the week on different platforms.
And then I
Get
can
me
tell you
paid.
the scenes that I am most proud of and excited for people to
Yeah.
see. And yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fun to like see these episodes and then see episodes afterwards, just because like we're clearly biting our tongues on a lot of this stuff, especially like it's almost harder to do it with Valerie and like with Joe, because there's like so many scenes, but you don't want to ruin anything. Where like with Pablo, there's a lot of scenes where Pablo's just hanging out and it doesn't affect the plot in any way, so it's a lot easier
Right.
to talk about those. So I'm very excited to be able to talk about later on. But yeah, I'm excited. The Empty Space comes out on Tuesday, May 29th. And so go check it out. And while we're here, we also saw a movie called She's the Man that Valerie picked. I'm gonna bring
Yes,
up
we
some
did.
of that. And I closed it because I'm good. And so She's the Man is also directed by an Andrew. It's directed by Andy Rucker. My name is
No.
Andrew Hara. So very similar, almost
And
twins.
Andy
Andy
Fickman.
Fickman, thank you. It also stars Amanda Bynes, stars Laura Ramsey. It stars Magic Mike himself, Channing Tatum.
Mm.
And for some reason, it stars Vinnie Jones and David Cross.
Yeah.
There's a big,
It's
famous
amazing
cast.
cast. It is an amazing
Yeah,
cast
it
and an
had me look it
amazing
up
soundtrack.
IMDb's to be like, oh yeah, what else has he been up to? Like, what has Vinnie Jones been doing the last 15 years? I didn't know. Now I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, it's a very interesting movie, but I think it's cool. Valerie, why did you pick this film?
Um, because it's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I figured I could talk about it. And it's probably not everyone's cup of tea, so I didn't know if I like you guys had seen it, and so it might be something interesting to make you guys watch and yeah, and talk about because I love it so much.
Well, it's funny because I was because I have it was like it came on some streaming service and I was literally gonna watch it last week and then I just ran out of time because it's been busy. And
Mhm.
so when Valerie gave me some options and then she said she's a man and I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely picking that one because I was gonna see it anyway.
Yeah.
I gotta finish my Totem filmography that I'm doing where I watch every Channing Tatum film, starting with Magic Mike and ending with Magic Mike. But yeah, so what did you guys? Well, Valerie, this is your favorite movie, but Josh, what did you think of this movie? Oh wait, we should kind of hold
It
on.
was
This movie's about a girl.
tell.
It's a
We should tell
story
you what
about a
this movie's
girl.
about. Yeah, it's about a girl, and her soccer team gets canceled, and so she has a twin brother, and he's going off to Paris to like DJ, and so she's or London, sorry, and so she impersonates him to get on to the soccer team at a different school, and so the whole time she's like pretending to be her twin brother, and shenanigans ensue. So Josh, and it also stars Amanda Bynes, which is very funny because she's like very feminine and she's like
Yeah.
super like woman, like she's super curvy and like that camera and that wardrobe department was like
They
struggling a
they
couple
They
of
did a
they
times.
pretty good
really
job, though.
they really had that bowl cut to
Yeah,
masculine her out. Yeah.
I think it's because no one other than a man would ever have a bowl cut on his head. It looks so bad on everyone.
It was no, it's interesting because I actually wasn't sure if I'd seen this because I think I'd mixed it up with She's All That
Mm.
and 10 Things I Hate About You, which is a different Shakespeare
Mm-hmm.
adaptation turned teen comedy, but it was interesting. It's very like it's almost like slapsticky at times, like which I did not expect. I thought it would be like way more dramatic, and it's a lot more wacky,
Oh
which
yeah, it's
Right.
wacky, and
like it
that's Amanda Bynes' humor is like physical comedy and
very in that,
being
yeah.
silly, and yeah,
The second David Cross comes in playing like the principal, I was like, okay, this is like
Yeah, like I understand
this
where you're
is the
coming from.
tone. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like Horatio Gold, headmaster. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, this
Well,
and
and
then
I
he's
think
also the lunch lady. Like
yeah.
it's
yep,
a ridiculous
But
film.
it clearly feels like a farce, and I think that's why I liked it. It's because
Right.
it's like, it's not taking itself super seriously, but the actions are still like well done, and so you get to have like David Cross as the principal just show up and like every line of dialogue was related to men and women, and he was like, because she walks out of the room and she knocks someone's papers over, and he's like, "Oh, I see what you're doing, hitting on this girl," and it's
yeah,
like
like sexual attention,
yeah.
teenage things. Oh,
It's like you
yep,
should be
and then he
fired,
turns around.
sir.
Can we talk about, well, maybe not yet because this is we're near the end. There's so many reasons he should be fired and the school should
I
be
know.
shut down based on what happens.
But and also like another thing that I like is that Vinnie Jones, for absolutely no reason whatsoever, Vinnie Jones from Snatch and from like every action movie in the '90s, plays the coach, and he's just
He's
like
so good.
it's just funny because like Vinnie Jones is just always serious, and so it's very funny to watch him like scream at teenagers, which is his entire role. Yeah, it's like I really like the crew, even like Amanda Crew from Silicon Valley. It just plays one of
Mhm.
Amanda Bynes' friends from earlier. And so like everyone's kind of surprisingly talented, even like the like side characters who have maybe two scenes.
Well, I saw. Have you guys seen Virgin River on Netflix advertised?
No, I
I
haven't.
haven't seen it yet.
It's like a romantic lifetime or like kind of a hallmarky like show, but she's a nurse practitioner. And that actress, when I saw Virgin River, I'm like, who is that? And it's the mean girl. It is
Oh, really?
Monique from She's the Man, but like an adult now or
Yeah.
whatever. But I can't take I like that show, but all I see is Monique and She's the Man, and I just laugh. It's so funny because her
Yeah.
character is entirely different. She's very mature and sweet, and everything not Monique. So
Also, Josh, that Monique character is the same. I don't know if you remember this, but remember in American Horror Story season 1 where it had the nerd or the maid, and she was the old maid, but she was also the young maid who was like super sexual. That's
Yes.
who that is.
that's
Oh.
it's
That's
Alex Breckenridge too. I'll have
Yeah.
to
yeah.
rewatch
That's
that.
crazy because she looks so different in
Yeah, I
this.
would have never
Yeah.
even pegged it. I did see one of her friends who's barely in it too, Jessica Lucas. I was like, oh yeah, she's in
Yeah.
Cloverfield. You know, it's just
Oh,
like,
she's in.
Yeah.
Josh, you know what else she's in?
huh?
She's in a show that me and Josh didn't like, but we did watch every episode called Life as We Know It,
Oh.
featuring Dino. So me and Josh used to watch terrible teen shows, and by used to, I mean we still do. And so that Jessica Lucas has appeared on like a bunch of them.
And by we,
And she,
you mean you put them on, and I was in the room
well, we were,
and didn't leave.
yeah, that's the role of a producer is you have to put up with nonsense all the time. But yeah, yeah, she's in Clover. But it's funny every time she shows up, I'm like, hey, it's the girl from Life as We Know It. That show nobody's watched but me. But yeah, I mean, and of course we have Channing Tatum is in this. Also, even like
Was this
Laura
like
Ramsey who plays
just
Olivia.
stop stripping Channing Tatum? He's so young.
Yeah,
Like he drove
I think
from the
it's
strip club to the
yeah.
set.
I think it's a little
Yeah.
bit of in
He's
between.
very attractive in this movie.
Yeah. It's also funny because everyone is so attracted, and then they all kind of act like, who would ever want me? And it's like everyone at this
Right, yeah. Channing Tatum's like, I can't get a date. It's like, has any woman seen you in your face
Yeah,
and
that's
body?
not
'Cause-
realistic.
Have they opened your eye? I do like that. Yeah, as soon as Amanda Bynes, like, there's a scene where they go to a carnival and she's dressed like she's dressed as herself and not her twin brother. And then she does like Channing Tatum and her just kiss, and like it's immediately like, oh, their chemistry is off the charts, which makes the rest of the movie even funnier because she's constantly dressed like a guy. And so it just kind of adds to like the humor that their chemistry is so well done, you know? Because I feel like if it wasn't, you'd be like, this doesn't really work as well. But because
Like, why
it
are you
is,
invested? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of fun. And like I like because I just like rom-coms in general, but I especially like them when they kind of acknowledge that they are. And there's a bunch of jokes in this where it's just like a pretty funny joke. Like there's a scene at the end where, of course, there's a big reveal at the soccer game, and the way the brother reveals it is that he like pulls down his pants, and then Amanda Bynes reveals it by pulling up her shirt, and then it cuts to the parents, and the dad is like, "There's a lot of nudity at this soccer game."
like underage nudity. Like it's like, I'm sorry, the
Yeah.
cops should be swarming this
I know.
field. And also like, because obviously this movie is kind of it's not really, there's not really much gay or trans things going on in this movie, although you think
Right.
there would be, especially today's. But the idea of David Cross as the principal outing a player's like gender, it's like, I'm sorry, you'd be sued into the ground.
Well, my favorite thing about David Cross's character as the principal is that if you watch this movie, he would literally get fired for every single line of dialogue and thing that he does in the film. Like even at the beginning when he's just talking to students, he's so ridiculous that it like makes it so funny that like, yeah, you guys are like, this principal is insane. You know?
But it's so funny. And that's one thing, like the lines from it. And I know I probably watched it in like a formative time in my life of like high school or whatever, but I quote it regularly. It's so funny. And one of his that he's like, I've tried all the creams and butters and for like baldness. And I say that at my job and people giggle and they don't know where it's from, but it's from She's the Man. Because like I like with wounds and you're trying all kinds of like ointments and all this stuff, and they like, I've tried this and this and this, and I'm like, you've tried all the creams and butters, and you can edit. Like anyway,
Yeah,
it's applicable. I use this movie in my daily life.
Well, and it's even cool because like one of my favorite things about this movie, it has a big cast because you have, you know, everyone on Viola's side because she had like a boyfriend at school, she had friends, she had a bunch of people, and then the brother has people, but he's going to this new school, so he has an girlfriend, and then they have everyone new from the school, and then you have the parents, and everyone it's such a big cast. But the cool thing about it is that there's no like throwaway characters, because they even have like the stereotypical nerdy girl who's like super sexed up for the
Who
popular
steals the
jocks.
show?
Yeah,
Steals
and
the
Yeah.
like
show.
there's a scene where Channing Tatum is on a date with her, or they're like on a double date, and she's there, and like one of Channing Tatum's friends is like, "Oh, but when I wanted to date her, everyone said I was a nerd," and then like later they end up together, and it's like
Right.
that's oddly sweet for two characters that you didn't have to do this for at all, you know?
Yeah, they give him a nice. They also because I know we haven't like it's kind of a big love triangle times three or whatever.
It's in
Everyone's
Love Square.
right. The villain kind of is he's going after Olivia, who's going after the fake
There's
Sebastian,
another
Sebastian.
who's
villain.
going
Yeah.
after Channing. But this guy, to show that he's like the weird villain, he has a body pillow of her that he
Oh my
like
God, the
talks
body
to,
pillow.
and like a pet tarantula. And it's like, oh, you made sure this guy was full on incel. But at the end of the movie, the two bad, like the ones that no one likes, get together anyway. It's like, all right, I guess they get a happy ending too. You know, they're
See,
like, we're
but I
not taking
like
this
that.
seriously. No, I
Yeah.
agree. It was
Well,
fun.
because it's like you don't like honestly, because Olivia, played by Laura Ramsey, she's like one of the popular hot girls, and so she, through the powers of
Also
romantic
so
comedy,
attractive
yeah, she's
in
very
this
hot.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like so she immediately takes a liking to Amanda Bynes as the twin brother, but Channing Tatum likes her, and they make her so that she's not like, they don't make her like, oh, she's mean, or she's like the mean girl and he just doesn't see it. Like, she's pretty cool. And so by the end, like even halfway through, I was like, but who's gonna be with Olivia at the end of this? Like, I want her to have a happy ending too,
Yeah.
And then they do it, like they managed to like even give her kind of
Yeah,
a pretty happy ending. And
she
it's like,
gets the real Sebastian, which doesn't have the same
yeah,
personality as the
That's
fake
not
one, so it doesn't quite mesh. But
Yeah, that didn't quite sit great with me in the end. I was like, she deserves someone better.
I jumped to
And
the
like there
conclusion that
should
they
be an
had
alternate
talked.
gay ending where her and Viola end up together. Should be
Yeah.
like
yeah, they definitely did not explore. I mean, I know it's 2006,
I would have
but
been okay with that. Yeah, I know.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's definitely leaning towards more of the fun side of it. But yeah, I do like that she's a well-rounded character. I don't think there's any not even like the psycho character who has the body pillow, and it's not a body pillow. It's like a giant head pillow of just her head,
of
which
her
to me
head.
is like
That
even
is
worse. Yeah,
worse. Yeah.
yeah, it's weirder for some reason. But yeah, I
But he
think
is
like it's
hilarious though. All of his like
yeah,
stalkery things are just hilarious. Like his
yeah,
song of like
yeah.
I see you through your window is like while I'm standing on a tree outside. Like that is so hilarious to me.
You know, I was
Thinking about
impressed he came up with that off the top of his head. So,
I know. And then, okay, Josh, did you think that Sebastian, the real one, kind of looked like Bo Burnham? Because I kind of felt like
you know, I didn't think about
every
it at the
time
time, but now that you say it, they definitely didn't look like each other. She looks nothing like her twin brother.
they did have similar hair.
That's why she had
And I do,
when she was breaking up with his girlfriend, she had to do so much comedy business to keep something in
yeah,
front of her face at the restaurant. So that
yeah.
was
And it's
quite
cool because
the scene. Yeah.
Amanda Bynes was from She's All That, and she had the Amanda Show. So you can even see in this how good she is at physical comedy, because that scene, like, she's hiding behind like menus, and she's like walking with the waiters and stuff, and it's like this could have easily looked really bad, but she manages to like make it almost look like a Three Stooges cartoon
Like,
where she's like juggling a bunch of stuff.
also, like,
yeah.
you know what I liked was her man voice is sometimes normal and sometimes it's like borderline Doctor Evil, like bizarre accent. You know,
Yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
it's good. It's
yeah.
very farcical.
I loved her voice, and I love that, like, because it starts and she gets to the school, and then you can tell that since she's like a teenager, she hadn't thought of like, oh, how am I gonna take a shower with
Yeah.
like,
Like
because I
pretty
can't
important
do it.
thing.
Yeah. And it's like, and then she has to do a bunch of stuff to take one. But it's funny because like that feels like, yeah, I feel like if I had made this plan, I wouldn't have thought that like, oh yeah, I'm probably gonna have to shower eventually, or just the
especially,
amount of
especially
times
in a
that
soccer
guys on a
team.
football team, take off their shirts and stuff, you know. So I
So
think
you guys
like
also now need to rent the DVD or buy it because it has a cast commentary, and I also listened to that in preparation, and it is also funny.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
who is it? The whole cast or select members?
It's Amanda Bynes, Channing Tatum, Laura
Oh,
Ramsey,
that's awesome.
Alex Breckenridge,
Ah,
and it's like that. That might be, and the director and like one of the writers, I think.
Cool. What
interesting.
did the
Really
director
funny.
give any insight to the making of the film?
So when you were talking about that scene, in the restaurant where she's dodging and all of that, they talked about how it was hard to pull off, and they were like complimenting Amanda, like basically just what you said. They were like, we didn't know if it was going to work, and was it going to be even semi-realistic or whatever, but like she pulled it off and made it seem. I mean, it's funny and it's silly, but it's kind of plausible that maybe she wouldn't
Right.
recognize, because she's like hidden the whole time. And they were
Yeah.
talking about how to make things like seem real enough,
Mhm.
um, and yeah, it's just funny and silly commentary too.
Nice.
So you should check it out.
I'd like to
Awesome.
hear.
Back in the day,
I'd like to hear a David Cross, Vinnie Jones commentary. Just those two
Yeah.
together.
they were very complimentary of them when Vinnie Jones, because every time they would come on the scene for the first time when the movie started, and they're like, oh, it's Amanda, or oh, there's Laura, like whatever. And then when Vinnie came on, everyone got real quiet, and then they all started laughing. They're like, yeah, what are we gonna say about him? Because like it was like they were afraid of him or like revering him so much they didn't want to like make jokes or anything. They all just got really
Yeah.
quiet, and then they're like, and there's Vinny, like he's amazing. Yeah, and they laughed at their own like fear of him.
He's an intense
Well, and
man.
I wonder how fun the set was. Because even on our set, like on any set, you're isolated just because of how much you're working, how much you're shooting. And,
Yeah,
like Valerie had to come to Texas, Josh had to come to Texas. I just had to go outside. But regardless, you're like all together. And so, like, it forces you, and I've said this on all the podcasts because it's true, like, it forces you to get either really close or at least really comfortable with everyone because you have to you're gonna be together, like you share your meals, you share the movie,
hmm
you're working together. And so I bet you like this felt like summer camp because a bunch of teens, like hanging out, and they're the hottest teens ever. And so it had to be like the coolest experience for them. Just like our
unless they were
set was
lying,
also
they
the
acted like
hottest.
it was fun. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, we were the
Yeah.
hottest, but we weren't
Yeah.
teenagers, so we can take hottest 20s or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Hottest adults, the best kind of hot. Like, yeah. And I think like, okay,
these
and
people
then
were not underage when they shot
I
it.
know
There's
they're.
no
I
way.
think they're.
There's no way.
That is very
And you know what's
funny. Yeah.
funny is that the girl who likes Channing Tatum is like at one point it shows her friend, and her friend is clearly played by a teenager, and that's the only scene in the whole movie. Laura Ramsey, sorry, when Laura Ramsey like is
Wait.
talking to a friend,
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh, that's a kid, because that was the only time that it looked like, oh, these kids are older, just because they were. Once you put them next to an actual teenager, you can tell, but for the most part, you can't.
Yeah, the
And it,
one who
yeah.
played the super nerdy girl, because I was trying to look her up to see. I was like, oh man, she was like 40 when this movie came out. She looks like the nerd stuff really like ages her down.
Yeah.
So
Well, they also put her in like braces and
right,
High
it's
school,
ridiculous. But most of the guys do look like they're 30, which is most high school movies. So I'm not gonna begrudge that.
Well, okay, and
So
also one thing I liked about this is how little soccer there is in the movie. There's just like a lot. There's like a big game at the end, and the director was saying that they wanted it so that every time, or when you did see the soccer, you felt that it was a bigger deal, just because you didn't see it as often. And I was like, oh, that's pretty smart. And I think that like that kind of shows the quality that went into this film, because like again, no, I don't think anyone was watching this movie for the soccer game
right?
that happens at the end, but the fact that like he still put in that much effort into like building suspense for the soccer game really made it like it just adds to the whole
Yeah.
thing, and like it's super cool. They even have war paint on, and like that war paint is at the very end because like they wipe it off, but Channing Tatum, every time they cut to him, he still has remnants of it.
And
And I
like
was like,
different amounts in different
yeah.
places. Yeah.
And I was like, that's funny because it's like You guys didn't have to put war paint on them, but I like that you did because now it feels extra real that it's just kind of sweating off of their face, you know?
Well, I think they did that to try to make it so people didn't recognize them,
Oh, right.
or like the brother and sister, to make
Yeah.
it seem
They
a
realistically
little
the
bit
team
more
would.
plausible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the real Sebastian was there, they'd be like, "Who are you?" So they
Yeah.
had to paint him all up to make it, so they wouldn't maybe catch it.
And then again, I like that Sebastian, like, he gets back from going on tour. He doesn't really know what's going on, but he finds a soccer uniform in his
And
like
just
his
rolls with
dorm, and
it.
he's like, "Oh, I guess I'm on the team now." And he goes out with the team.
Yeah.
It's just
And when he kicks
like,
the ball, it's like a kindergartner. Like he just
yeah,
like kicks it, and they're all like, "What are you doing?" He's just like, What am I doing? I don't
yeah.
know. Why am I here?"
And then I like that they have like they're not in a lot of scenes together because obviously they can be, but they do have pretty good repertoire on Amanda Bynes and the Sebastian guy. Because like once she pulls him aside and she's like, "I'm gonna play the game," he's immediately down for it. Like he just takes off
Yeah.
his jersey and he's like, "Yeah, go ahead." And it's
And
like,
he's like,
yeah,
"Are these real?" She's like, "Yeah, I have sideburns now."
yeah,
And she like slaps him. Like they're believable as brother and sister, I feel like.
yeah. Yeah, I really like their chemistry, and maybe that's why I like Sebastian for Lord Ramsey. Unlike the other two people here who don't appreciate
I mean, he hasn't
love at
earned
first
it
sight. Yeah, they
yet.
Yeah,
and he
he's
did
also
like
like he's not even a sports guy. I don't know. I guess
yeah, he's the complete opposite of
well,
what
she
Greg
did
is.
like Sebastian because he was like sensitive, so he was a
Yeah,
musician.
and she
So
didn't like his music, and that was his music. So
right,
Yeah, but in the beginning, he's like, "It's 'cause I like her because she's hot. It's a guy thing." And
yeah,
then, but the whole time, she likes the fake Sebastian because he's like not all about being like because they're hot and whatever.
yeah,
So it's just like, would she like the real one?
right.
yeah. Guess we'll never know.
We'll never know.
Enough to go to prom, it seems.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, but no, yeah, I thought this movie was super fun, and I think like it is. I remember it being a big hit when it came out, but I didn't see it for whatever reason, and so
See, I don't know.
yeah, it's super cool. It's super cool that we got to watch it. I think I think that's always the cool stuff, especially with guests, is that we get to pick movies like I never would have picked She's the Man, but I'm glad that we watched that. I'm glad that we got to talk about it because it's always fun to like break away from the trends. But yeah, guys, any last thoughts on She's the Man?
I just agree that she was the man.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was a bomb. Like when I was asking for the bomb.
I think it did
podcast,
okay.
but
Basically, it made it
Yeah.
made like double its budget, which is like fine, you know.
Right.
well, that's good. I mean, I consider
Yeah.
it to be the greatest hit, of all time.
Right.
But,
Right.
I didn't know if everyone agreed with me.
Yeah, money's not important, especially on Empty Space, which you guys should go watch right now. But yeah, so any last things when we come back? I think we'll talk about more. We might even do another one where we just break down. I know that me and Josh are going to. Maybe we'll invite Valerie to kind of break down just specifically talking about the Empty Space. But either way, I think it'll be fun to talk about more of the process than we can. These are all teasers to get you excited to watch this movie, and hopefully you are, and hopefully you give it a go because I think it's well done. Sacramento Horror Film Festival said it was good. The Horror Hotel Festival. I mean, how can you not believe Horror Hotel? Everyone knows that place. Check it out. I think we like either way. We've put in a lot of work. I completely at the beginning of this year we decided to have a different opening because I really wanted to wow people because the acting is done. I like the story and it's as good as it's gonna be from me, but the acting really elevated it. The effects, everything was good, and so watching the opening credits, it had always been good enough to me, and I didn't want it to be good enough. I wanted it to match their performances and match the characters and everything. So we completely redid the opening. We've been so even now we've been working on it, just adding little touches because we really want you guys to forget that you're watching a movie and just kind of get involved with these people's lives and see how it goes. And so I'm so excited for you to watch it. And I'm so excited to be able to talk about it more than in this super vague way. But so go watch it. Valerie, any last words on the Empty Space?
No, I just go watch it, check it out, let us know what you think and what your favorite scenes are. And yeah, I'm ready for people to see it. I'm pumped for people to be able to see it.
Yeah. Josh, any last words on the empty space?
Just a question: what are you two gonna do with your first million once this finally comes out?
I don't know, Josh. I don't know anyone like
Find
that.
find a comedy so that I can be in a movie where I don't cry the whole time.
Hey, well, speaking of which,
I
I mean,
can
probably
laugh
not. And
and joke around.
it is also one of the, before we leave, this is going to be an extra special teaser for anyone who's stuck around to the end of this. But one of the cool things is that and this is how long this movie's been available, is that last October, me and Valerie actually filmed another short because it had been so long and I needed to work with her again. But the fun thing about that short is it's completely different from the empty space. And the cool things about those is that we jumped back right into our worker mentality where it's kind of like we're similar wave vibes. And so I didn't really have to direct, which is good because I'm not that good at it. But the cool thing is that you really get to see Valerie's comedic timing with a lot of this stuff. And like you see a little bit in Empty Space, but like some of the physical stuff that you were doing in like it's about a security guard in an old jail,
Okay.
and some of the jokes or some of the stuff you were doing, like I would tell Valerie like, oh, go do this and we'll just add it to a montage, like who cares. And like some of the stuff that Valerie would think of was so funny that like there's some takes that I accidentally ruined just because I was laughing. So I'm very excited for you to watch that and just to see, because there's a lot of range, but there's just one part missing, and it's just kind of like the fun part of Valerie, and you get to see a lot of that in this short coming up. So that'll be fun. Valerie, what did you think about that short before we leave?
Are you talking about the security guard one?
Yes, we're talking about The
Okay.
Shadow, which is the
Okay.
working title. Might change, guys.
All right. Yeah, he had me running all over an old courthouse and jail, and he'd just be like, "Okay, run it again," like down a long hallway, and then it's like, "Okay, run it. We need it one more time. Okay, just run it one more time. Okay, run it again to the right." But it was fun. I was down for it. It was a blast. I mean,
Yeah.
I only was out of breath like a couple of times. Okay, the stairs for the fifth time.
Yeah,
That
as soon as
might
you
have
said
put me
that, I
out
did
of
think of
breath.
it.
Well,
But I had a blast. It was fun, and hopefully it was a definitely creepy vibe to the place. So hopefully that comes through, and yeah, hopefully I get to see it
is
soon.
it like Elbit and Costello meet the Wolfman type of situation? I haven't seen this,
It,
so
it was very creep showish, or Tales from
oh,
the Crypt,
creep,
where it's kind of like
no
there is some scares and there's some
horror
like creepy stuff, but
comedy.
it's not comedy, but more like farce. Kind of like this. Kind of feels a little bit like She's the Man. Um, and
I'm trying to
so
think of when I mean, I was probably joking around, but I didn't know if that was intent, like going to be in the actual short.
what? Some
I
of the
don't
stuff.
know.
Oh
Yeah, I
well,
don't
I
know if
just think of
was.
the
I'll have to see.
yeah. There's a scene where you're doing pull-ups that like makes me
Oh,
laugh.
okay, yeah,
Every
yeah.
time I watch, every take that I watch is hilarious to me.
Well, you can't
Um,
leave me alone like bored for too long. I'm just gonna
and
start doing something
yeah,
random.
and that's great because that's literally the character in this short. But yeah, so check that out. That'll be coming up soon, and we'll probably try to get that into festivals because it's I'm still in the process of editing, but it's coming out great so far. And
Good.
then of course, once again for the last time, The Empty Space comes out this Tuesday. Check it out. Tell us what you think. Write reviews. Put it on your letterbox. Tell your friends. Empty Space. We made it with hearts and blood and passion. So thank you guys once again for joining us on the Bomb Squad, and we'll see you later after you've watched The Empty Space.